Dive right into our material today. There's going to be a lot to cover. So again, you'll get the recording because there's just going to be a lot. I'm going to roll through a lot of information, but there will be time for a couple questions at the end. So definitely, and you can ask questions throughout. Just drop those in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye on that. All right, so welcome to the masterclass, From Fatigue to Flow, Restoring Your Metabolism Naturally. I am hoping everybody can see my slides and hear me okay. If someone wants to just maybe drop into the chat that you're seeing and hearing okay, that would be super helpful. All right, so you deserve to feel amazing. It is everyone's birthright to have health. It makes me sad. So many people don't have it, and so many people struggle with chronic issues that they don't need to struggle with. It is our birthright to feel amazing and to live an amazing, unlimited life. And you need to have optimal health in order to show up for yourself, to show up for those who you love, to shine your unique light in the world and make the difference that only you can make. We are all here to use our gifts, to shine our lights, to enjoy our life. And if we don't have health and energy, it's limited. And it doesn't need to be that way. So my goal is to help people move past limitation and into unlimited health and unlimited life. It's just my purpose, to help you live long, live well, and die fast. No wasting away in nursing homes, no having to be taken care of for the last 10 years of your life, living well, living independent. And these are all things that we can achieve. So just to give you a little bit of an intro to me, again, I do hope everybody can hear and see me. So if someone is willing to type into the chat, yes, we can hear and see, that would just put my mind at ease. Okay, so I am Angie Gallagher, and I am a national board certified. Thank you so much, Sharon. I appreciate that. It looks like a couple people are, yes, thank you. Thank you, Gracie. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so I am Angie Gallagher. I am a national board certified health and wellness coach. And yeah, I think maybe can you see me or just my screen? I wonder if maybe I turned my own camera off. Let me see. Not sure if I can get myself back on there if I am not there. Okay, we'll just keep moving forward. I'm Angie Gallagher. I am a national board certified health and wellness coach. And I started my career as a clinical exercise physiologist working in cardiac and pulmonary rehab. And after doing that for about 25 years, I saw a lot of what doesn't work in the Western medicine model. I saw a lot of people coming back through our doors over and over again, having their second heart attack, their third heart attack, being diagnosed with heart failure. These are all things that are preventable. And it was killing me that we were seeing these people just on this merry-go-round of chronic issues. And doctors just kept saying, well, you just have bad genes. This is just going to be what happens. You're just going to end up back here. We'll see you in another year. This is just what's going to happen to you. And that's not okay. It's just, there's more to the story. Functional medicine is a deep dive approach into what is at the root of chronic issues, because there's almost always a root cause, and we don't need to just treat it with medication. We need to get to the root. That's what I do as a functional medicine practitioner. So I'm also registered as a clinical exercise physiologist. That's what I did a lot of in my cardiac rehab career. I'm a certified heart math practitioner. This is a tool to help people balance their nervous system. I'm an avid trail runner, but also a person with previous poor metabolic health, even with all my trail running. And so I have my own personal journey of healing my own metabolism. So I like to use this image to describe what functional medicine and functional medicine coaching is. So this is, if you think about your health and your body is like a tree, and we've got all these branches. So we have all these healthy branches and growing and reaching toward the sun. And in the soil, our roots are getting all of the nutrients that they need in the form of healthy sleep, a healthy diet, eliminating or minimizing toxins and having a good detox pathway in our body, reducing oxidative stress, reducing stress, dealing with trauma, exercising, having healthy digestion, a healthy gut. All of these things are important to be at the soil root level so that we can have these healthy branches with healthy leaves. And this is what we do in functional medicine, is address all of the things down here in the root level and making sure that you're getting exposure to natural light and all of those important things. In contrast, what we see in the Western medicine model is that they treat symptoms with medications, surgeries, antibiotics, blocking stomach acid, which is usually a terrible idea because most of us are actually deficient in appropriate stomach acid. They ignore, previous trauma or just tell you to go see a counselor. They treat the symptoms, and it's this very siloed approach to healthcare. You see a dermatologist for your skin, you see a cardiologist for your heart, you see an endocrinologist for your diabetes, when really all of these things, all of the chronic issues come down to the same underlying cause. And when we go to that root level, so many things get better. I'm working with a guy right now who he came to me after having a cardiac event and having stents put in his heart. And we started working together. And after 3 weeks of following the diet, his psoriasis cleared up. And he had no idea that would be a result. And he didn't even tell me he had psoriasis. And we got together and he said, I can't believe it, but my skin is like almost like new. It's almost like all of it's just like peeled off and gone away. And that's what happens when you heal at the gut level. So I was really excited to hear that. Okay, so what does it mean to have true health? Is it just the absence of disease? And absolutely not. It is not the absence of disease. It is thriving. So what do you have to thrive? Well, of course, metabolic health. That's what we're going to talk about mostly today, is metabolic health. Because metabolic health really does affect everything else. But we also want to make sure that we have good cardiovascular health, digestive health, nervous system health, mental and social and vocational health, financial and spiritual health. And the reality is that all of these things are interrelated. They all affect each other. Our body is a series of systems. Nothing is in isolation. Your mental health and your digestive health are so intertwined, you would not believe the connection between the gut and the brain. And we're hearing it more and more, the gut-brain axis and all of these things. And it's important, so important that people really recognize this, because too many people are taking antidepressants when we really need to do is fix the gut. Everything's interrelated. And we talk about this a lot. This is what I do as a functional medicine coach, is work on it at a systems level, and recognizing that in order for one area to heal, we've got to address the body as a whole, holistic approach. Oops, okay. All right, so how other health and fitness programs sometimes get it wrong. So we just talked about a holistic approach, the body as a collection of systems that are all interrelated. A lot of times you'll see other wellness programs, fitness programs, weight loss programs, and they're really just focusing on one or two parts of the whole. They're focusing, just on exercise and fitness. So they're focusing just on nutrition. What is different in the way that I work is that it's a systems approach where you're looking at how everything affects everything else. Most programs will not start with healing the gut, which is the foundation of all health. Hippocrates said the gut is the gateway to health or the gateway to disease. They don't focus on balancing the nervous system. When our nervous system is jacked and out of whack, when we're in our fight or flight, most of the time, our body can't heal and our body does not release weight. It hangs on to all of that weight. So if you have weight loss resistance and stress is a big factor for you, those two things could be hand in hand, and you might be working against your body by trying to exercise too much or cut your calories too much. So nervous system is integral to weight loss and to true healing. Many programs don't address emotional eating, and they don't focus on bio-individuality, which is another key component of a functional medicine model. Is all of our bodies are slightly different. We're all in our own ecosystem. So saying everybody should eat the same diet just makes no sense. I mean, we have so many differences in each of our bodies, from the amount of saliva we have to the breakdown of the bacteria in our gut to the amount of stomach acid we have, our enzymes. All of these things are going to be different, and we all came ancestrally from different places and different people around the globe, which sets us up to have a different ecosystem. So we need to know what we as individuals do well on. So what does it mean to have metabolic health? So that's what we're talking about today is really metabolic health because it's so, so important. So it's the optimal functioning of your body's metabolism, which means that you're maintaining good blood sugar regulation. Your body is able to break down the carbohydrates, put them to use. You're eating foods that are ideally causing a nice, steady, and slow rise in blood sugar, which means that you have a nice, steady, slow rise in insulin, and you don't have these big spikes where your blood sugar spikes and then crashes. You have regular sustained energy, a lipid profile, meaning your cardiovascular, like fats, the cholesterol, and the lipoproteins. Those are all normal and healthy. You have normal blood pressure. You're not needing to be on medication for blood pressure, and you have a normal, healthy waist circumference, meaning you're not carrying a lot of excess weight in your gut, in your waist. So the key components of that are you have normal blood glucose. You have insulin sensitivity, meaning your cells are very sensitive to the insulin, and it doesn't take a lot of insulin to get the blood sugar into those cells and out of the blood. You have good mitochondrial function. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of your cells, and they're what give us energy. And so when those are functioning appropriately and optimally, you have normal, healthy levels of energy throughout the day. You don't have crashes. Again, normal cholesterol, triglycerides, normal blood pressure, normal body composition. So true and false here. So there's a lot of misunderstanding around what it really means to be metabolically healthy and what it looks like. So many people think if you're thin, you're metabolically healthy, so that kind of sets you up for knowing the answer on that. That is false. Just being thin does not mean you're metabolically healthy. What about this next one? You need to eat frequent small meals to maintain high metabolism. So this is what I used to teach my cardiac rehab patients years ago before I had a better understanding of this. And that is false. You do not need to eat frequently throughout the day. You can improve metabolic health even if you can't exercise. I'm hoping that you guys all said false or true on that. True. I've had so many people come through my program that for various reasons could not exercise, injuries, just like their lives were just kind of crazy and busy and they just didn't have the time or the bandwidth. And yet they lost serious amounts of weight and improved so many other factors in their health, even without exercise. So yes, you can absolutely improve your metabolic health, even without exercise. Fruit has too much sugar and should not be consumed if you're trying to lose weight or reduce blood sugar. True or false? This is another one. This is false. Fruit has a great place in our diet. We just need to not overdo it on fruit. And this is something I have to talk about with my clients a lot because like strawberries will be in season. And so they'll eat 2 pounds of strawberries. Like that's too much fruit. That is too much sugar. But is there a place for strawberries in your day-to-day diet? Absolutely. Sleep is just as important as exercise. I used to not believe this to be true when I was working in cardiac rehab and did not have my functional medicine certification, but I have since learned sleep is so important. And if you're sacrificing it on a regular basis to get exercise and you are struggling with weight loss resistance, it could be that you are stressing your body out. You are not giving it the rest that it needs, and then you are exercising too much without rest, and your body is like, someone's got to give here. We can't keep going like this. So sometimes you need to back off on exercise and sleep more, and then the weight will start to come off. Anyone overweight is not metabolically healthy. True or false? False. Absolutely. There are a lot of people out there crushing it in trail running and all kinds of different categories for fitness and for endurance sports, and they're carrying a little extra weight. So it is definitely not true. You can be carrying some extra weight and still have fitness, still have health. Do we want to minimize excess fat weight? Absolutely. We'll talk about why, but it doesn't mean that you are not metabolically healthy. The keto diet is the best way to improve metabolism. A lot of people on that keto diet bandwagon, lots of people doing it. Does it work in the beginning? Yes, it absolutely works in the beginning. Is it the best way? I don't believe it to be the best way, because on a keto diet, you are eliminating a lot of really important nutrients. You are eliminating a lot of really like antioxidants and fiber and things that are really needed for our health. And yes, the recording will be available. Anne, I think you said you missed the start, and the recording will be available. Absolutely. It'll be probably by the end of the week. Okay. So keto, it works in the beginning, but I don't recommend it as a long-term approach because you will not be getting some very important nutrients into your diet and things that your microbiome really thrives on. And if you are overweight, true or false, if you're overweight, you're not exercising hard or long enough. Hopefully you guys get this idea that I already shared, that exercise is not required to improve metabolic health. So do not lose hope. If you are one of those people that's got an injury or something going on and you feel like, oh my gosh, I can't exercise, I guess the only outcome for me now is that I'm going to gain weight. You don't have to fall into that trap. There's a lot of ways to improve metabolic health and lose weight even without exercise. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. So here's a example just what I was sharing. So Melissa and Orestes, they came to me, they were referred by one of the local doctors in the area, and they both were dealing with a lot of health issues, blood pressure issues, some autoimmune issues, and he referred them to me, and she lost over 80 pounds. He lost over 40 pounds. They both got off blood pressure medications. He got off medications for acid reflux. And they both just feel amazing. They've taken all kinds of vacations. Melissa didn't exercise at all, and she still said, I can walk through the airport easier. I can go on vacation and engage in physical activities without limitation. Like even without exercise, her function improved. Everything got better. How did they do it? Well, they learned what foods work best for their own bodies. So again, that bio-individuality, we need to know our own bodies. We need to learn our own bodies. They learned how to balance their nervous systems. They learned how that stress gets in the way of efforts to improve metabolic health and lose weight. They learned how to manage and relate to the sensation of hunger. They learned skills for emotional eating. They learned tips and tricks for healthy travel, for being able to engage in holidays and social gatherings. They followed a clear and simple plan with the help of a guide and learned how to what I call fail forward. So they learned that even if they make a mistake, even if they fall off the wagon here or there, they know that they can get back on. They know that it's not fatal. They know that we can be human and we can learn from our mistakes and we can get back on track. All right, so what does it mean to be metabolically flexible? So metabolic flexibility is really what we're all trying to achieve. And oops, back. Metabolic flexibility means that our body is very easily able to switch between burning carbohydrates or burning fats. Many people are walking around as sugar burners. So their body needs regular intake of carbohydrate so that they can maintain a sense of energy, a sense of focus, be able to go about their day without having those crashes. But they are technically crashing, but they're having to eat carbohydrates over and over again to get back on track. Whereas being a fat burner, you can fast, you can skip a meal, you can eat a diet that's like low in carbohydrates, and yet you maintain great levels of energy because your body can burn the fat that's stored on the body. So if you're walking around and you're carrying extra weight, you want your body to learn how to burn that fat. You want your body to know that the nutrients, the things that it needs are right there on the body, and you are not starving if you reduce your calories or if you reduce your carbohydrates, but your body has to make that switch. And that's the thing that sometimes is hard when you do it on your own. So, and when you're metabolically flexible, you don't get hangry because as soon as your body realizes, oh, okay, we're not getting a meal, so I'm going to turn on the fat burning. I'm going to go to fat burning mode, and I'm going to get the energy that I need from the fat that's right here on the body. And so stable energy. You don't feel hangry, hungry, you're fine. And this is a beautiful thing, especially like when you are traveling. If you're stuck, you're at an airport and there's no good options for healthy food, your body is better equipped to fast than it is to get crappy airport food. And when I travel, I look around and I see all these people eating a lot of this crappy junk food, and they don't realize like their body is very capable of just skipping a meal. But it's like the thought of that for people is just like, oh my God, I could never do that. It's because they're a sugar burner. Their body, they've never experienced what it means to be metabolically flexible. So what does it feel like to have metabolic health and flexibility? It means you have unlimited energy. You feel great. You feel great all day. You're like, you can go through your day of work and then you can still go meet a friend for a 3-mile walk, or you can go to the gym, or you can go home and get an hour of yard work done. You're like, I feel amazing. I don't need to like use all my energy up at work and then just feel like I've got nothing left for my life. You don't have cravings. Your mood is stable and generally good. you get restful sleep, you have excellent focus and clarity, your skin is glowing, you have less wrinkles. Yes, metabolic health means all parts of you are healthier, including your skin. You have a healthy libido. Many people get their relationships, their marriages come back on track because they finally feel good again in their skin. They finally have energy and their libido kicks back in. They rarely get hangry. They're at a healthy weight. They rarely get sick because immune health is directly tied to metabolic health, and they don't have digestive issues. So they rarely have issues with like bloating or gas or diarrhea or constipation. They have a nice, healthy digestion. So what does it look like to not have metabolic health? If any of you remember Saturday Night Live, maybe none of you are in the same age demographic as me, but Chris Farley's character, or this one scene where he was always starving, and is a perfect example of, someone that's carrying extra weight, but their body doesn't know how to get to it. So it's really sad and unfortunate because people feel like literally like they're starving, but they actually have all this energy right there on their body that could be used, and their body just hasn't learned, their metabolism hasn't learned how to use it yet. So what does it feel like? So fatigue, people generally feeling tired most of the time, cravings for sugar and carbs, poor focus, poor concentration, often getting sick. If something's going around, they're always going to be the one that gets it. Being overweight, having a lot of mood swings, low mood, unstable or low energy, depression, sagging skin and increased wrinkles, frequent digestive issues, and feeling burned out. All right, so let's talk about the role of processed foods in metabolic health. And yes, no one wants to hear this, but bread is a processed food. And I think I think bread is just as addictive. Like wheat itself actually is addictive. It is an addictive food. It's an addictive. There's stuff in it that people definitely get addicted to. And processed foods in general, because they're engineered to be hyper palatable. I mean, processed food companies want you to be addicted. They do not believe for a second that they're interested in your health. They are interested in you being addicted to their processed food. And it is very difficult to get off of these foods. All right, so what do processed foods do? They do a lot. Unfortunately, they're easy, they're convenient. Many people will say, I just don't have time. We need to get back to where we make time. Processed foods there's a very strong connection between processed foods and fatty liver. The more processed foods a person eats, the higher the likelihood of fatty liver. And we are seeing staggering increases in fatty liver in people, non-alcoholic. So these are people who are not drinking, but they now have fatty liver because of all the processed foods that they've been eating. It directly affects the skin. We're seeing a lot of eczema, psoriasis, a lot of adult acne, even like really exaggerated teen acne. It directly affects our brain, contributing to anxiety, depression. We're not producing the neurotransmitters that we need in natural amounts. So the foods are triggering these crazy high spikes in dopamine that make us feel really good for a minute. And it's just like a drug. And then we come down off of it and we want more. Like, wait, I need to go back for more of that chocolate. I need more of the jelly beans. Like people are so addicted to sugar. And there's a lot processed foods, even if it's not a dessert or a candy, it's the same thing as sugar. It's triggering your brain the same way. It contributes to leaky gut, which then contributes to systemic widespread inflammation, which contributes to all of our chronic issues. It contributes to dysbiosis or an imbalance of bacteria in your microbiome, which can lead to cravings. Oftentimes people who eat a lot of processed foods will develop an imbalance in bacteria, and they'll end up with an overabundance of pathogenic bacteria that are actually they're the reason for the craving, because you're feeding them with processed foods. That's what they're eating. That's what they're feeding on to grow. And so they're sending messages to your brain to eat more of the processed foods so that they can propagate and perpetuate their own existence. We often end up with B vitamin deficiency because it's made in our microbiome. And if our microbiome is not balanced and not healthy, then we're not going to be able to produce the B vitamins. We end up with insulin resistance. We store extra fat, store sugar in our fat cells. Sorry, I'm going to have to move these bars all over the place. And it affects our cortisol and our hormones. So directly leading to high cortisol, which when we have high cortisol, our body just wants to hang on to any extra any fat tissue. We just don't lose weight when we've got all this circulating cortisol. And then the high cortisol then also comes back and contributes to inflammation. Okay, so I see some questions here. What about baked bread? Like, I assume you mean homemade bread at home. So there are some breads that are gonna be a little bit better for you. So if you can do like a sprouted grain, like Ezekiel brand, they have a sprouted grain bread, and it's even flourless, so it's not like the refined flour, and the grains that are being used are sprouted, which really brings the gluten content down. So if I'm going to eat bread, it's going to always be Ezekiel brand. It's organic, sprouted, and no refined flours. Some people will do okay on a fermented grain, so like a sourdough, because that also really breaks the gluten down quite a bit. And so that can, for a lot of people, be better tolerated. But if I eat a piece of sourdough bread, it's still going to jack my blood sugar. And I'm an ultra trail runner, and one piece of sourdough bread will shoot my blood sugar up above 200. That is a huge spike. So I don't eat it. I mean, even if I am, running a 14-mile run, I still won't eat a piece of sourdough bread because it's still not good for me. And that may be just my ecosystem. So I do encourage doing things like wearing a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, so you can see exactly what happens when you eat certain foods. I can eat a couple dates, 2 or 3 dates with some walnuts, and my blood sugar is nice and steady. But one piece of sourdough bread, oh my goodness, it's sky high. Hope that's helpful. Okay, so what should you eat? So again, in my program, there's a lot more like individuality, and I help people, we do some kind of food eliminations to start off, and people lose weight pretty quickly. And then we bring things back in a very systematic way, so people can really feel in their own body, what does it feel like? How do I metabolize this food? Do I gain weight when I eat this food? Does it make me get constipated? Do I end up bloating? So we all need to be in our own body, feeling our own body, and knowing what happens. But in the general sense, foods that kind of fit into the Mediterranean type of diet. So I tell people, think things like clean, healthy proteins. I got to close this chat because it's in my way. Clean, healthy proteins, lots of like nuts and seeds. If you're going to do grain, ideally whole grain. So rather than tortillas and bread and bagels and things like that, you're doing like quinoa or rice, like you're doing the whole grain. You're not doing a refined version of that. Squashes, things like that for beans and lentils. So you're trying to avoid the starchy carbs so that you can maintain good insulin sensitivity, and your body will know to go after the stored fat. So if you are here because you have struggled with resistant weight loss, then this is really important to hear this. Like, you need to really reduce those starchy carbs so that your body won't be relying on those for energy, and it'll know how to burn the fat that's on your body. Intermittent fasting. So we'll talk about what that means, but that can also really help with metabolic flexibility. Eliminating food sensitivity. So how do you know if you're sensitive to if you have food sensitivities? Well, there's 2 main ways to know this. So one is you do an elimination diet. And this is what I do in my program, because in my program, I want people to learn their body and not have to spend a ton of money to figure it out by doing a ton of testing. So we start with just, let's eliminate certain things, and then let's bring them back one at a time so that you can see, because once you start with a clean slate, for instance, I learned that I don't do well on garbanzo beans. They make me super bloated. And I just don't eat them anymore, even though they were a staple in my diet. I was eating hummus every single day for years, decades, and I just took them out. And I make hummus out of white beans, and otherwise just don't have it. So we learn about our own food sensitivities to know what our body metabolizes well and what we don't. Or we can also eat for our own DNA. So we talk about this in my program. I spelled that wrong. But we talk about what does it mean to eat for your DNA? Because again, it comes back to bio-individuality. No one size fits all. So this slide is a collection of pictures from my clients that went through my program. These are all pictures that they submitted because when people do my program, there's a food diary. So they let me know. Every day they can either type in what they ate or they can send me a picture. And I love getting pictures because I'll share them in our private Facebook group and people can kind of be inspired by what other people are doing. So don't those look delicious? I mean, really healthy, colorful, delicious, satisfying meals. So here's a case study of someone. I like this one because she was actually really like, she lived a really like basically healthy lifestyle. She was a swim coach. She grew up and was always like comfortable in the gym. She had a couple of friends that she would go to the gym with 3 or 4 times a week and work out. Generally knew about, healthy nutrition. And she came to me and she's like, I just don't understand this. Like, I am doing the same things I always did. I'm working out hard. And this weight in my belly and my back just keeps piling on. So she wasn't obese by any means, but she wasn't happy with the weight that was accumulating around her waist. She's like, my waist is gone. And I'm so like healthy and active. Why is this happening? So she did my program and she lost 20 pounds and kept it off. She improved her blood sugar. Her A1C was starting to get borderline pre-diabetic, which was the same for myself. She improved her gut and digestive health. She learned how to meal plan and prep so that she was getting way more plant foods. She reset her metabolism, and she went from having basically 2 plant foods, like a vegetable and a fruit, 1 each per day, to having like at least, I think she said she and her husband try to get at least 8 plant foods at every meal. So she totally learned a different way of relating to food. She learned ways to meal prep and how to hack it so that she could be efficient, and ways to travel and take stuff with her. I mean, she just embraced it and felt amazing. So she says she was shocked at how quickly the weight came off when she started the program. She found her waist again. She feels better, less bloated, and less uncomfortable in her clothes. So she felt like it was nice to know that she could get onto the weekly group Zoom or send me a message if there was any questions, and always knew that there was support there for her. Okay, so intermittent fasting. So this basically, people get confused about what this means. So intermittent fasting is sort of an umbrella term, and it really means any kind of time restricted feeding. So it could be alternate day fasting. So it could be like, one day you just do 1 meal. Like some people will go all day and just have dinner. And then the next day or the next 5 days or 6 days, they'll have 3 meals a day. And they'll like 1 day a week, they'll just do dinner. And so it'll be like a 24-hour fast once a week. Some people will just do like daily time restricted feeding. So they're like, yeah, I just don't have breakfast and I wait until noon and I eat my lunch and then I eat dinner at 6 and then I don't eat again until the next day at noon. Some people will experiment with extended fasting. They'll do, a full like 2 days, 3 days, 4 days. Sometimes, people do long. I follow a woman who does 21 day. I think she actually did a 40-day fast. So it's pretty fascinating what the body can endure. Fasting is ancestral, I can say this word, ancestral. We evolved fasting. We didn't have refrigerators and pantries. We had to wait until people came home from the hunt or came home from harvesting berries or roots. Like we oftentimes people would go out on the hunt in a fasted state. So our body is very capable of functioning well in a fasted state. We had to be. And so we were designed that way, but we've gotten to a place where we're so comfortable. Just whenever we feel the slightest feeling of hunger, we just want to satisfy it. We want to solve it. And then somewhere along the line, quote unquote, experts decided that we should eat 3 meals a day plus snack in between in order to maintain metabolism. And I bought into that. I used to tell my patients that in cardiac rehab, eat every 2 hours. Worst advice ever. Our bodies need time in between food to fully repair, reset. We're not meant to be grazing all day long. But that's what happens when we're not getting our nutrient needs met. We feel hungry, we feel cravings, because our body's saying we don't have our needs met. We're not getting the protein we need. We're not getting the plant foods we need. So signals of hunger keep coming at you because you're not getting your nutrient needs met. Okay, so some benefits of fasting. So people generally are going to lose weight if they fast correctly. So there's right and wrong ways to fast. We will reduce our blood sugar, we'll reduce our insulin levels, which is all really important for cardiovascular health. We're going to allow our digestive organs to rest and repair. We're going to improve our mental clarity, our cognition, memory, alertness, better sleep. It's going to improve our endurance, and our body's going to become more of a fat burning machine. We will have less visceral fat, less fat around our organs, which is really important for long-term health and prevention of disease. Lower cardiovascular risk, allows for the process of autophagy, which is cellular cleanup. So this is a big cancer prevention thing. When our cells don't know how to clean up or die off appropriately, then we can increase risk for cancer growth. So we want our cells to know how to clean up, and they can only do that when we give them a chance to do that by not constantly eating. Longer fasts, like 17 hours and beyond, will allow for stem cell production, which is the cells that can basically turn into any type of body tissue. So it's really a great longevity tool. And then we have improved gut health, which is just so key to everything. Okay, so mindset with intermittent fasting is really key. I talk about this a lot with my clients, and we go into a lot more detail than this. But I talk about we have these our needs, right? Like our body has these, what I call like our inner kind of alter egos around food. So I call it the inner child, the inner rebel, the inner hedonist. Yeah, those are the three main ones. So the inner child needs comfort. So I'm like, people will be like wanting to eat for comfort, so emotional eating. The inner rebel is feeling like a sense of lack of control in their life. They're feeling stressed, they're feeling overwhelmed, they feel like they're not in control. And so they're like, no one's going to tell me what to do, not even myself. I'm going to eat whatever I want to eat. And so they just dive in. And then the inner hedonist is maybe not experiencing enough joy in life. And so they're eating for pleasure. They're like, I don't, like my life is freaking hard. My job is stressful. Everything just feels hard. And I'm going to just enjoy this food because it's one thing I feel like I can get joy from. So these are all things that we really have to unpack. And I spend a lot of time with my clients doing that. But so just like having that mindset, like asking yourself, can I make it just 15 more minutes? Can I focus on something? Can I distract myself? Do I have to solve this hunger, or can I just allow myself to experience it? Because hunger is ancestral. And I always tell my clients, I think of hunger, or like the sound of my stomach growling is like, that's the sound of my cells cleaning up. The feeling of my stomach growling is the feeling of like my longevity genes being turned on. So I try to equate like the feeling of hunger, the sound of my stomach growling, as like, this is healing. My body is healing because I'm allowing it to be hungry. And then changing my belief system about what truly makes me happy. Like, does food define my happiness, or does health define my happiness? I always say nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. And I would rather have my health. I would rather know that I'm metabolically healthy, that I can maintain my weight and my energy, than eat a scone in the morning. And that was my thing. Like, I was the scone queen. I would every coffee shop I ever went to, if they made their own scones, oh, you better believe I was going to get a scone. And so I don't eat those anymore. In fact, I don't eat gluten. And I don't miss it. Like, I'd rather have health. So we have to sometimes redefine what it means to be happy and what makes us happy. So metabolism and inflammation really go hand in hand. So this is just something I really want people to have an understanding of as you walk away from the masterclass, because inflammation is like the silent killer. It is the thing that leads to heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, various other types of cognitive decline, autoimmune conditions like Hashimoto's thyroiditis, other like joint pain, all kinds of things that are not pleasant, a lot of skin issues. So we really want to have healthy metabolism so that we are not putting ourselves at risk of these inflammatory conditions. And when we have inflammatory conditions, that also then comes back and affects our metabolism. So it's this kind of nasty cycle. Inflammation is at the root of almost all chronic conditions. But what causes it? So leaky gut causes inflammation. I want to be clear about what leaky gut is. Oh my gosh, I'm not gonna have a time. I'm not gonna get through everything. So leaky gut does not mean diarrhea. People a lot of times think leaky gut, like, I don't have leaky gut, I don't have diarrhea. Totally two different things. Leaky gut means that you don't have an intact gut wall, and things are getting through the gut wall that shouldn't. And your immune system is right inside the gut wall, and it's on constant vigilance. It's like it's monitoring everything that comes through. And if something's coming through the gut wall that shouldn't be, then it goes on attack mode. And the immune system on high alert, high vigilant attack mode all the time means that it starts to get confused. It attacks its own tissue. It leads to inflammatory conditions throughout the body. So leaky gut is caused by processed foods, food sensitivities, excess alcohol, which I spelled that wrong too, microbiome health, certain medications, having high stress and high cortisol, even over exercising. So we really want to like check all of these things and make sure that we're not doing a lot of all of those things. One thing that you can do, and this is like just, you know, take this little nugget with you today, avoid these 6 highly inflammatory and oxidative oils. So these are in almost every salad dressing, every dip, cracker, chip, cookie. They're in so many processed foods. When we eliminate these things from our diet, so many things get better. So I really encourage you to, if you take nothing else away from this, take this. All right, I'm just getting over a cold, so I'm starting to feel my throat. I need to keep hydrating. Okay, so these oils really just try, and it's hard. Believe me, when I first learned about this, I was so disheartened because a lot of things I thought that were healthy that I was eating had these oils in them. And I was kind of bummed and a little bit pissed off at first. But once I wrapped my head around it and found alternatives, I was like, okay, I totally do this. And I do. I avoid those oils at all costs. If I go out to dinner, there's actually an app you can get for your phone called Seed Oil Scout. And it works better if you live in a city. I live in Corvallis, Oregon, and so we don't have that many restaurants. But if you're in a city, you can find restaurants that are rated, and they tell you if they use these seed oils in their fryers. So if I go out with people and someone orders fries for the table, I might have like 2 or 3 fries, but that is it, because I know that unless they're approved on the Seed Oil Scout app, they're fried in oil that's just really inflammatory, and it's just not worth it to me. Here's some brands to look for. So again, you're going to get the recording of this, so I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide, but there are brands that are their whole shtick is we are going to use healthy oils. Get more protein. Protein has the most satiating benefit of all the macros. So if you feel like you're constantly hungry, like you just feel like, oh my God, I just am grazing all day, I'm never satisfied, I just feel like I'm hungry constantly, increase your protein. The doctor that I work with, she recommends people get 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal body weight. So if your ideal body weight is 150, 150 grams a day, and many people are not even getting half of that. So it's hard if you're not used to getting that much protein. It is a hard thing to achieve. So I tell people maybe just try to get at least 100 grams a day to start with, and just start there. And if you're not even getting 50 grams, maybe shoot for 75. But hunger a lot of times is a result of not getting our macronutrient needs met, not getting enough protein. And you'd be surprised how eating enough protein turns off that hunger feeling. So there's some suggestions here for how to get some more protein. If you wanted to screenshot this, this is a great protein powder. It's paleo protein powder, so it's not going to affect your blood sugar. It's a really great company. They just have a great product. All their supplements are fantastic. Personalized nutrition. So really focusing on your own body and how you feel when you eat certain things, but nutrient dense, unprocessed food. So this picture here on the right is a picture of one of my clients' refrigerators. She took that. She's like, I'm so proud of myself. I got these new glass storage containers and I pre-chop a lot of my veggies so that when it's time to make a meal, I have stuff ready, pre-chopped and ready to go. Or I'll get like some things at Trader Joe's that are already like pre-prepped, and I can make stuff really quick. Exercise is also important, but it should not replace not getting sufficient sleep. So when we exercise, it improves our insulin sensitivity. It makes our body be able to uptake the blood sugar into the cells more easily so that we're not having to spike our insulin levels. It improves our immune function. It balances the nervous system, both of which are going to affect our metabolism. When we do extended bouts of activity, like going on a long hike, we're really tapping into those fat stores. And so keeping the intensity down, but going out for a longer stretch is really going to tap into those fat stores and burn those fat stores. And exercise actually affects our genes. So it lengthens the telomeres, which are the ends of our chromosomes. So if you think about shoelaces that have that little plastic at the end that kind of like holds it, keeps it from fraying, the telomeres are kind of like that on our chromosomes. And exercise actually affects the length of those. The longer those are, it is said that the longer our life, that our longevity is longer. And so exercise has an impact on that. So types of exercise. So you don't always it doesn't always have to be a gym workout. Sometimes we just need to move our body more. So non-exercise activity thermogenesis is just moving more throughout the day. It's just getting up and, if you have a desk job, just saying, okay, every half hour, I'm going to get up and I'm going to, even if I don't have to go to the bathroom, I'm going to walk down the hall toward the bathroom and come back. Or I'm going to, go climb a flight of stairs. Or if you're close enough to the door to get outside, I'm going to go outside and just stand out there for 2 minutes and get natural light on my skin and in my eyes. Aerobic exercise is also great. So walking, cycling, any kind of, dance class, swimming, aerobic equipment at the gym. Strength training is, they say that the muscle is the currency of longevity, that the more muscle we have, the better longevity and independence we're going to have, the less risk of age-related decline. High intensity interval training has its place, but that's something that I talk with people kind of more one-on-one about, because I want to know more about their past and any issues, health issues, cardiovascular issues, even like issues around eating disorders and body issue stuff. So it's important to kind of not trigger yourself. And something is always better than nothing. So I always tell people, celebrate every effort. If you wanted to do an hour walk, but things just didn't come together and all you did was 10 minutes, you need to give yourself a high five for that. Every effort gets celebrated. And that's what's going to keep you in a positive mindset. And you're going to want to build on those successes. But if you beat yourself up because you didn't do what you wanted to do, then you're going to be in this kind of negative energetic place. So really celebrating every effort. Sometimes finding a buddy. I have running friends. If I didn't have my running friends, there'd be a lot of mornings that I wouldn't be getting out there on the trails. So finding consistency, convenience, and commitment are all really key to success, long-term success with exercise. And here's me being a total nerd, but yes, this is stuff that I do. I will do squats with whatever heavy things I can find. I actually have a kettlebell, but I was just showing an example of, like, you don't have to have exercise equipment. My son goes through a lot of milk, and so there's always milk jugs in the refrigerator. So, if you're just starting out, you can just do some squats with just your body weight. And if you're ready to add a little weight, you can just fill up some containers. I have a chin-up bar, and I'm able to almost do a full chin-up without like having to jump into it. I love practicing my handstands. I'm not going to a gym and spending hours or spending a lot of money. So what else affects metabolic health? So sleep, stress, hormones, all really important things to consider. So stress and cortisol. When we're stressed chronically, excuse me, I just need to take a sip. When we're stressed chronically, we're going to have elevated cortisol. And that elevated cortisol is going to make our body want to store more fat, especially in our abdomen and our waist. And it's going to really make it difficult to lose. So we've got to find ways to manage stress. So obviously, if we can eliminate sources of stress, fantastic, but that's not always easy to do. So how can you change the way you react to stress? Can you practice mindful presence? Can you do some like deep diaphragmatic breathing? Immediately shifts you into your parasympathetic. I could do a whole masterclass just on ways to manage stress. We don't have time to really go into all of that right now. Heart math is a great tool. I'm a heart math practitioner, and I do have people who have come to me just for heart math, just to learn how to balance their nervous system, because they're like, I think that's the one thing that's getting in the way. And I've seen that so many times. Like, their diet is totally dialed in. They're sleeping. They're crushing it at the gym. In fact, they're probably doing too much. And they're just like a total stress case. And it's the one thing that's like, they are not getting dialed in. And so it's really important to address that. So focusing on your, so what you can do in heart math is you can do an 11-second breath cycle. So for 2 to 5 minutes, you're inhaling for 5.5 seconds and you're exhaling for 5.5 seconds. You're activating a feeling of love, appreciation, or gratitude. So as you're breathing, so you kind of focus on your heart center, you're breathing in and out 5.5 seconds each direction, and then you're thinking about something or someone or a place or a memory that makes you feel a sense of gratitude or appreciation. And that combination of things can really shift you over into that parasympathetic rest and digest side of your nervous system. So I encourage you to just try it, and just for 2 to 5 minutes, slowing your breathing and changing those thoughts. So sleep, super, super, super important. Quality sleep is really key to so many things in the body working the way they're meant to work. We're supposed to spend a third of our life asleep. So obviously it's important. If it weren't, we'd be able to be like, okay, we're going to sleep for an hour and then get right back to it. So 7 to 9 hours is what we need. If we get enough sleep, we're going to have normal hormone levels that affect our appetite. So our ghrelin levels will be normal, which means that our appetite will be normal. Our leptin levels will be normal. They'll be higher, which means that our meals will satisfy us. Whereas if we're not getting enough sleep, the ghrelin levels will increase, which make you feel hungry throughout the day, make you graze. I know I totally feel that if I don't sleep enough. And your leptin levels will drop, which means that you will have a meal and you'll be like, where are the seconds? Where are the thirds? I'm just not ever satisfied. There's some strategies to improve your sleep. Sleep schedule, getting into a circadian rhythm. You hear it all the time, but I could share so much science about why this is important. Getting to bed earlier for people who like to stay up till midnight, 1, 2. I used to be that person. I used to write music and I would stay up after my son went to sleep and I would be just in this flow of writing, but that does not work anymore. I realized that was probably part of why my metabolic health was off and I was in that pre-diabetic state. Avoid eating 2 to 3 hours before bed so that your digestive system is not trying to work while you're trying to sleep and you can actually detox the way you're meant to during your sleep. Getting outside and getting natural light in your eyes and on your skin during the day, really great if you can get out and see the sunrise. Journaling, meditating, doing like a brain dump and getting like all those stressful thoughts out of your head before you lay your head down on the pillow. Some people really benefit from some sleep-inducing music or even just like a white noise machine. And then there are lots of adaptogens that can help your body to get into that parasympathetic state. This is just a list of some of them. There's so many other things that are available. Your room should be cool and dark. Really try to minimize Wi-Fi signals. I suggest even turning off your router at night. Having good quality mattress and pillows. Having an attitude about sleep that is not like, oh, I guess I have to go to sleep now. Like really thinking about sleep time as the new me time and recognizing that it is important. Because I think a lot of us, like, we're just like, we put it off and we put it off because we feel like we need more screen time. We want to like unwind more before we actually go to bed. And so we just sit there and stare at the TV for 2 hours. That's really not doing anything. And in fact, if you're not wearing blue blocking glasses, all of that blue light that you're getting from the screen is disruptive to your sleep. So just be thinking about, what are you doing in those hours before bed and what is your attitude about going to bed? Sometimes our hormones can keep us from sleeping well. So I talk about this with my clients. Sometimes you need DHEA, progesterone, dimestro. Some of these are female only. Some of them can also be helpful for men. Sometimes melatonin, some people say, oh, never do melatonin, it's habit forming. Well, it's really not. And in fact, melatonin is actually a master antioxidant. So it helps with a lot of the body's detox and antioxidant status while we're sleeping. So I actually take it every night. Limit alcohol after about 10 o'clock or noon, or limit caffeine after about 10 or noon. And then alcohol really does not have a place in your daily lifestyle if you want to be healthy. So if you're drinking every day, I would really encourage you to think about that. I was one of those people as well. I had wine every day after work, and I had another glass after dinner. And again, like that was probably a big reason why I had poor metabolic health. All right, so here's another testimonial from Crystal. She texted me when she hit 140.5 because she was so close. She's like, my goal is 140. I'm celebrating now. And she's like, I just want to thank you for this program. It has helped in so many ways. I feel like my outside truly matches my inside. And she had a photo shoot, feeling completely confident, stronger, and healthier than ever. So these are the kinds of things that people will send to me. And so if you are here today because you have struggled with resistant weight loss, with low energy, with brain fog. If you're ready to stop worrying about that and you're ready to have unlimited energy and break free from cravings or other habits that haven't served you, you want to feel amazing in your own skin, you want to like what you see in the mirror, and you want to feel confident and strong, you want to stop wasting the mental energy to figure it all out by yourself, then I'm here to help. And here's another example. Carly, she's a breast cancer survivor. I actually had a lot of breast cancer survivors go through my program. And she was actually doing half marathons and struggled with the belly weight. She's training for half marathon. She was actually like teaching a class on half marathon training, and she just could not get rid of the extra belly weight. And she did my program. It came off, and she's maintained it now for like 3 years. She feels amazing. So just a few more comments from people. A lot of people who had almost given up hope. They just like, I tried everything. And this is the first thing that actually made sense. This is the first program that made sense. Like I'm using healthy whole food. I'm not using, some magic pills or shakes or pre-made boxed food. Like I'm using whole healthy food as nature intended me to eat. People that cycled with weight coming on and off and never really getting it off for good. And just taking very short-sighted approaches and not really addressing the body as a whole system and interrelated systems that are all intertwined. That's kind of the difference, I think, in how I do things. So you do deserve abundant health, abundant energy, strength, stamina, confidence. So I hope that some of what I've shared today gives you some hope, makes you feel like there are answers. Because if you feel hopeful, your hope and my expertise could give you absolutely outrageous success, achieving everything you want, all of your dreams for health and well-being. I've seen really dramatic changes. So if you are interested in setting up a wellness strategy call, you can scan the QR code here and it'll take you to where you can just book that free strategy call with me. And if you are like, okay, I'm ready to do something, I'm ready to like get some results, you have a $50 off for being here, for sticking through, for staying till the end, watching the whole thing. You get $50 off of what I call my trailhead package. So this is my entry-level program. So for $447, it's normally $497. You get all the secrets, the proven food plan, the weekly group coaching, the community support, recipe book. There's so many, there's like 20 modules of education that expand on all the things I just talked about today. So there's so much education, and you have lifetime access to watch it and consume it all. So you don't just get like 3 months and then it gets taken away from you. You have a lifetime to consume it all. And the normal price for like all of the tools plus additional one-on-one coaching is $22.97. So you get everything but the one-on-one coaching for just $447. So it's my gosh, like it is, I feel like it's almost like giving it away, but I just want more people to have this information. It's just not enough people have this information. So if you wanted to book that trailhead package and save the $50, you could scan this code here and it'll take you to where you can go ahead and just register for that trailhead package and start learning, start consuming the material, get the food plan, and get started whenever you are ready. And if you want a more personalized approach with more guidance and accountability, then I do have the base camp and the summit packages. So those have more one-on-one support, more messaging support, one-on-one coaching support, reviewing your daily food journals and providing feedback. So yeah, so that is what I have to share today. So I definitely can, I'll go to the chat and see if there's some questions in there. Happy to, if you wanted to unmute and ask a question, happy to answer anything. Dried safflower. So if you're eating a whole flower, then that's fine. So when oils are extracted out of what they're naturally in, that's where they become easily oxidized. So if you're eating dried safflower, then there's no problem because you're not heavily heat treating the oil. You're not using chemicals and heavy metals to extract the oil out of the flower. That's what we're trying to avoid. And that's why the fruit oils like olive oil, coconut oil, those are better because the oil is actually in the fruit. So they're just basically squeezing the oil out of the fruit, whereas the seed oils is a whole different process. It's heavily mechanized, heavily heat treated, lots of chemicals. And so those oils are not good. Quality of water is really important. I didn't have a chance to really go into that in detail. I have a Berkey water filter, and I love it. It just sits on my counter, and my son and I share it. And and you can also go to the environmental working group, and I think they have a place where you can put in your zip code, and it'll tell you the quality of the water in your area. But a Berkey filter is a good solution. They're not crazy expensive. And HeartMath Institute, yes, lots of information on there. It said it's quite a packed site. I don't know if that means that you found a lot of information, but there's tons of research about heart coherence and getting into a state of heart coherence and what that does to globally. Like we have an electromagnetic field that extends about 3 feet beyond our body. And so you know what it feels like to be around somebody that's not balanced in their nervous system, and you know what it feels like to be around somebody that is. And when you're in a balanced nervous system, people will feel comfortable and calm around you. But if you're jacked up in your nervous system, you'll find that it affects other people, and vice versa. So there's a lot of information about global heart coherence and how that affects everyone around us. And yes, I've coached people in London. So I have had 2 people that I've coached that were from the London area. So I can coach anywhere, anywhere around the world. Happy to, and I've had people do my program from London. So yes, happy to work with anyone from anywhere. Any other questions? Okay. Well, you will be getting the recording. And so you'll be getting emails from me. So you can always respond to an email if you have questions or wanted to work with me. Yeah, just respond to an email and we can chat. And you'll get the recording for this whole session. And so I appreciate you being here. Somebody just came into the room, and so I just want to let you know that we're just ending, but this was recorded, and I will send the recording out, so you'll have an opportunity to watch it, and you can just it'll be up on YouTube, and it'll be there. You can watch it as often as you want. So sorry that you missed it if you just hopped into the room. So thank you all so much for being here and for listening and staying to the end. I really appreciate it. Everybody have a fantastic day.